10, 2019-55 be approved on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, September 10th at 5:30 p.m. and a public hearing on September 17th.
Second.
Been moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Rogers,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 7-0.
Vote of 7-0. CPO 2019-53, 54, 55 is moving to the Finance Committee September 10th at 5:30 p.m. and a public hearing September the 17th at 6 p.m.
Mr. President, it's pending ordinances and resolutions on second reading.
Thank you. This time we will have the mayor's report.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I would first like to start by giving my condolences to the Shipp family, the family of Vera Shipp, the family of David King, who Ms. Shipp was funeralized last Friday, as well as the family of Mrs. Crozier. I believe it was Vera Crozier, no, Willette Crozier as well. She was funeralized last Friday, and the family of Mr. Theodore Robinson in the passing, the family of Valerie Brookshire in the passing of Theodore Robinson. I would also offer my condolences to the family of Mrs. Walker, the family of Sally Walker in the passing of her mother, Mrs. Walker. I want to add my concern about the nature of homicides that are going on in this city. One of the things that we've observed is that group-related homicides are down. They're down tremendously. We have had a surge in homicides among people who know each other, who are sometimes in the same space, either domestic or non-domestic. And it really strikes me that the way that we resolve conflict is a serious issue. And so I just want to ask people, as they see things escalating, that they consider really working to diffuse the situation to the point that so that it won't get to some of the levels that it has gotten to in our community. Want to add that in addition to the event that will be held by the Decay Devils on September 14th, there is going to be a historical marker dedicated at the City Memorial Church at 10 a.m., and that is the church on the corner of 6th and Adams. You may recall that we received a grant from the Legacy Foundation, actually the Knight Foundation through Legacy, to begin the restoration process. And so part of that day will involve the laying of the historical marker, as well as our traditional or annual historical site tour. So that's going to be a big day for history, and just wanted to encourage folks to come out and be a part of that celebration. On September 7th, the 5th annual Pop on Violence 5K walk run will be held at Marquette Park. Also, and that will start at 10:30 on the 7th. Also at 9 a.m. on the 7th, there will be a TAR syndrome awareness walk, and one of the victims or one of the people who suffers from that condition is a Gary resident, and that's going to be at Wicker Park in Highland on September 7th at 12:30 will be the Charles Turner Memorial Fun Fest, and that is going to be sponsored by the Adna Community AMRP, the Adna Manor Revitalization Project. And so that is going to start at 12:30, and it's going to be in the Adna area. Also on September 7th will be the book signing, the Nehemiah Challenge, Reimagining the Community, and that is Dr. Shelley Fisher's book, and that is going to be, I believe, at Art House. It's going to be right here at Art House. So that is going to be a big event. Starting tomorrow here in the city of Gary will be the Legacy City Summit. It will be in partnership with the National League of Cities, and it involves visitors from other cities, and it is an event where cities bring some of their most challenging concerns or problem that they'd like expert advice on, and it's being done in partnership with Indiana University Northwest. And so the meetings will occur there along with a reception there, and it starts tomorrow at 3 p.m. And on Friday, there will be an inaugural First Fridays event at the Genesis Convention Center, and that starts at 8 p.m. And that, I want to remind everyone that on Monday, September 9th, will be the monthly chamber meeting, and that is going to be at Majestic Star Casino at noon. And that concludes the events that are coming up. I want to also provide an update from Public Works. We are awaiting the financial ability to do the second round of paving. We know that we've received $1 million from NDOT for 7 local streets. I know that Grant Street is one of those streets, and there are probably, there are 6 other streets that are involved. I will get that to you all. I got it to you all early on when we were planning, but I just want to give you details on those streets. In addition, the Norfolk Southern track removal, they will be removing, well, it's not track removal, it's vacation. No, it is track removing. So it would be on Grant Street, Buchanan, Harrison, Van Buren, Madison, Adams, Washington, and Massachusetts. And they will be doing that before the end of the year. You notice that on Grant Street, they sort of smoothed it over, but the tracks will be totally removed. On the signal replacement, Midwestern Electric is currently working on those signals. The current Lake Street construction project is scheduled to be completed by early November. And the road that is going into Buffington Harbor Drive is scheduled to be completed in mid-December. And that is the road that is constructed for heavy truck traffic. You should also be aware that construction has started on Airport Road between Klein Avenue and the bridge. And that is a reconstruction and a widening project that will be finished November 24th, 2019. We are working currently with both the toll road and NDOT on the humps that are on 15th Avenue between Martin Luther King and Clay. That has to, they're essentially the bridge joints, so they're trying to smooth them out without compromising the bridges. And we do have a request pending relative to Central Avenue and the wear and tear it has experienced because of the closing of I-65, which is scheduled to be complete by September 20th of 2019. Harrison Street, that updated timeline is 10/31/19. The Ambridge sewer projects continue, as do the Bear Steel gas line replacements. Indiana American Water is currently working between 47th to 48th between Jackson and Monroe, as well as 25th to 26th between Adams and Washington. The alley south of 43rd from Connecticut to, on Connecticut Street, and the alley between Delaware and Maryland from 46th to 47th, alley between Broadway and Massachusetts from 47th to 49th. That's the extent. We also have a UPS hiring fair that will be at the Genesis Convention Center for drivers, Class A team drivers and part-time package handlers. That will be at the Genesis Convention Center on September 10th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That completes my report. I'll take any questions, Mr. President.
Is there any questions for the mayor at this time, council members?
Mr. President, I don't have a question, but I do want to thank the mayor regarding the update on East 15th Avenue. There are totally challenges with that stretch of the road. And I know that we spoke about those humps on 2 of the bridges, I believe. And so just want to thank you, Mayor, for that update.
You're welcome, Councilwoman.
Just want to say, Mayor, 15, I drove past there today, 15th Avenue, going towards Clay.
Yes.
The bridge is smoothed out. You can drive over there and don't have to stop like it's a
Oh.
stop sign. Yes.
So,
So it is smooth, they have cleaned up. There is some debris that our general service needs to take care of at NIPSCO. Box has been there for quite some time, so that needs to be removed. But other than that,
okay.
a lot better, a lot better.
So it is working.
Yes.
All right.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Mr. President, I have one thing that I failed to bring up during my time. It is the condolences for the family of Marguerite Smith. Her funeral will be on Thursday, September 5th at Marquette Park United Methodist Church at 11 a.m. There'll be some visitation from 9 until 11. She is the mother of WLTH broadcaster Jeffrey Smith. And she's a lifelong resident of Gary and just a wonderful lady. So I just wanted to extend those condolences to that family. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to public portion. Just want to send my condolences. There's been like a tremendous number of losses throughout the city here, with families, people that you know, just in the reading the paper, a lot of tragic losses. So we just wanted to extend our condolences to families that are hurting at this time. We do have a couple of speakers for our public portion. I believe this is Keroy. M. Keroy. Ms. Nowacki. Razuli. Ms. Johnson. We'll go there.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. I was a bit frustrated today. I had been down to the county. I made a special trip. It's not an easy trip for me because it involves not only public transportation, but generally a long walk. So to find myself at the county making some routine requests for information that should be readily available, I was informed that the county computers had been hacked and information was not available from the treasurer's office and the surveyor's office. The computers were acting up, not performing normally. Commissioner's office, routine information not available because the computers had been hacked. So I took the long, arduous trip back to Gary, hoping that I could get caught up on some information that I needed from the Calumet Township Assessor's Office. Their computers also were having problems and information was not available. So here you have generally routine functions of county government, the commissioner's office, the treasurer's office, at the surveyor's office, information not available, relying on computers that are not operating. Here at the township assessor's office, once again, the same problems with the computers not working. Now, I bring that to the council's attention not because I expect the council to have any idea of what to do with it, but just to kind of warn the council that a lot of important and sensitive information is on these computers. Information that the public relies on, information that perhaps the council, perhaps the administration relies on. And when this information is compromised, not available, that raises some red flags, sets off some lights, warning lights. So I'm just bringing that to for the council's information and edification that it looks like we're in a real rotten condition in Lake County, Calumet Township, when routine information is not available, or perhaps there's some other motivation, perhaps more insidious. That's what I believe, but I don't have any evidence to substantiate that, just an allegation that I think this is not accidental. I think there's a purpose involved. Thank you.
Mr. President, your next speaker is coming up. Yes. The license bureau is also down.
Yeah, I was out of the county and I did get information. Porter County also was hacked also. Prior 2 weeks before last, they was hacked also. Yeah, so I was aware.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, community. First of all, I want to thank the city for their support on the block party and the festivities during Michael Jackson's and the Jackson's celebrations over at the house this past weekend. This past Thursday was the 61st anniversary of his birth with the Jackson Family Honors Group. And we're just trying to help build this so we can use it, well, so we can properly honor the family and also use it as an economic development tool for our community. We said this many times. Well over 10 years ago, Memphis was bringing in $29 million every year because of Elvis's legacy there. And we get nothing, literally nothing here from Gary and a legacy of probably the world's greatest entertainment family. So we have to build that up. You can't really get, I guess you can get addicted to Michael and the family and Janet or whatever, but not like we can get to gambling and things like that, which really do harm to the people, the citizens of the community. Mayor, you were talking about the violence, and you guys mentioned about the violence. Of course, condolences again, 45 years ago, that's crazy. Be having to deal with this violence. We know a lot of us in this community have been victims of all sorts of violence. And the city council also did a good thing when you all passed that resolution condemning these ratchet killer radio stations. Right now, top 10 airplay songs in the country for African youth, 9 of the top 10 songs drop N-bombs on us. In other words, use that N-word. 9 of the top 10 songs in the country. So more needs to be done on that. There's a song right now in the top 10 that says, I will burn an in the store where his mammy, he doesn't say mommy, he says mammy and grandma shop at, as we saw what happened in Walmart the other day. So the city of New York now has a similar resolution, the biggest city in the country, but more needs to be done on this. It's pretty crazy what's happening with all this violence, and again, it's promoted in this music to our children. Standing here in solidarity with Brother Rashard Cunningham and his family, also about getting that information quicker, sooner. I mean, I work with Black Lives Matter. We have to deal with Black Lives Matter in the city that's pretty much 85 to 90% black. We got to do better than that. The county is just like the city. We don't expect anything better from the county. We had parents of other victims of police killings here in Gary who has been out there with us during this past week of protests. Their things went to the county and just went away, So we have to do better than that. Again, we stand in solidarity with the family. We know that we need a truly independent Citizens Review Board to hold these police in check, to hold their brass in check, to hold them in check. Because I think it was Vincent Smith was about 10, 12 years ago when he passed. We went on the law. It was a long time before we had police shootings in Gary after that, or murders in Gary. Since the last couple of years, it's getting out of control. So yeah, we're in solidarity with Rashard Cunningham and his family, but it goes beyond that. I mean, who's next? We don't want anybody next. We need to watch them. Thank you.
Good evening to the council, those present and those joining us by way of the media. In August, I was watching C-SPAN, and it was interesting because they talked about the 400th anniversary of slavery. And when you look then and you look now, some things really haven't changed. There's still slavery. Slavery of the mind, slavery of the economy, and then we won't even talk about the prison system. So what do we do now? Of course, we're not physical slaves. How do we keep the civil rights that we have on the books and not be taken away? We have a huge argument going on now about gun control. And for once, I have to agree with President Trump, and I never thought I'd see myself doing that. Background checks would not have helped with the last mass killing. So what will? I heard a newscaster say what will help is our people having the will not to give up, doing something to make sure this does not continually happen. Whether it's one person or 100, we cannot allow ourselves to get to the point where we are complacent and apathetic. Those voices are crying for justice. And whether or not the killers survive, they still expect us to do what's right to keep it from happening again. If we see anything, report it. If it's not heard the first time, keep screaming till it is heard. If you were at a Bulls game, you would scream till you didn't have a voice anymore. Isn't a life more important than a sports game? And lastly, I would like to wish my son, my baby boy, my youngest, a very happy birthday. It has not been an easy road raising 6 children in public housing, 4 of them boys, because I taught them, sadly, you have 3 strikes against you. Number 1, you're an African-American male. Number 2, you're poor. And lastly, you're raised in public housing. Thank you.
For the record, Councilman Brown has joined us also. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Shakir, Mr. Reeves. Reeves will be our last speaker.
My name is Kwame Shakur. I'm an advocate with the Stolen Lives movement, like Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Auntie Vita Sterling Washington, Justice Hal, Mother Latoya Hal, all these families across the nation, you dig what I'm saying, that's been dealing with police brutality and terror. So I'm coming as an advocate for this movement, speaking to Gary, telling you what the Stolen Lives movement feel about this situation right here up in Gary. Like, we're not going to allow this situation to go like a lot of these other cases, just be swept under the water. We're not going to allow it. If we got to bring people in from all over the country, we're going to do it. This dude is going to prison. At the end of the day, I've been out here in Gary for the last 2 weeks talking to people on the streets about this dude, Isaiah Price III. This dude was over in Chicago, got fired for a lot of the complaints and stuff he was doing in that community over there. But then Gary Police Force hires him over here with knowing the record that he has. You know, Tashina Brooks, her son was murdered by one of the Gary police officers 2 years ago. Justice Justin Hedrick. Isaiah Price took this police officer to his house, her house, pointed out her house after he just killed her son. You dig what I'm saying? And try to intimidate this woman, you know, but she stands with us and we stand with her. You know, it's not like this brother said with Black Lives Matter. It's not a isolated incident. It's systematic, not only in Gary, but across this whole country. So we're at the point that we're tired of coming in here talking about the same stuff, pushing for legislation and stuff like that. We talking about boots on the ground. Like Martin Luther King used to show us back in the days. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, he showed us, gave us the Voting Rights Act, but that's only one form of political power. The greatest form of political power is boots on the ground. Well, we gonna demand it. Like Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. We gonna demand this. You dig what I'm saying? By all means necessary. Nonviolent, peaceful protest, we gonna use our First Amendment right to the maximum. You dig what I'm saying? So we put in Gary Council, all of y'all notice that we're not letting this go. So do the right thing. Christopher Gamble was just watching on live where the mayor was speaking. He feels very disrespected from you for not even mentioning Rashad's name when you apologize to everybody else. You know, so I'm speaking in behalf of him right now because I know he's watching and this is what he wanted to convey to you, you know. But at the end of the day, this situation with Rashad Cunningham and this Officer Price, a lot of people on the street say this dude had a run-in with Rashad. A lot of times, like he had a thing out for Rashad. I'm pretty sure Gary knows this. Gary Police Department knows this. You dig what I'm saying? And so we're saying if y'all try to cover this up and don't tell the truth about this, again, boots on the ground. We'll bring everybody in from the whole nation over here to make sure Gary realizes that we gonna get justice for Rashad and all Stolen Lives family.
Thank you. Mr. Reed.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and of the audience. My name is Jason Reeves. I do some writing in terms of the Hearn Foundation, which is an endowment of business and engineering solutions. As I listen to speakers, some of my notes come down to how do we help people in the process of professional and occupational opportunities. I mean, to give them a positive way to live. I mean, you really don't become a licensed professional engineer without experience. You don't become a lawyer without support and learning to go through the courts. Engineering, I mean, I write about it, I study it. I ain't got many opportunities around here and did it all over the country in a couple of different places. But it's also a thing for younger people too. I mean, you have to provide them some guidance. I mean, you only have one person working in the engineering department. One. Not 2 or 3 young people that are being guided properly. The occupational and professional opportunities are at an all-time low, and they've been that way for at least 20 years. So I just hope you'll take a recognition of that, because even if you talk about Gary's civil rights, I mean, there's professional and personal rights that are critical. I mean, we went over a hurdle with civil rights. We stood there. I done went to Martin Luther King holiday hearings. I understand the theory. I went about 2 or 3 years old when he was really marching, but you know, theoretically, we have gotten there. Now we have to pick up these other people. We have to pick up other people. We have to give them some hope, prosperity, and opportunity, you know, even in my last few years. But they need opportunities and they need prosperity. Black, white, this and that. But, I mean, most of y'all Black Americans, y'all should know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's been our last speaker. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and being with us on this evening. Join us again September 17th right here at our house at 6 p.m. Entertain a motion for adjournment. We're now adjourned. Have a good night.
Did that hacking or whatever affect the electronic filing?